Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Quantum Networking Book Launch Promotional Podcast. I'm Sam, and that's
She
Andre.
says that so uncertain. What's my name?
Well, because my brain is like, don't say it, and then I say it anyway.
Yeah, you should say it anyway.
I'll just say it. I'm Sam, and this is Andre.
What
and
up?
Today, we're going to give you some practical exercises that you can try to kind of start introducing yourself to quantum networking. Now, we've said this in the past. You can't really play in both realms at the same time to get the full experience, but this will give you an idea of how to kind of start leaning in the direction of quantum networking and the quantum experience. So, all right. Andre, would you like to introduce the first exercise?
Well, let's talk a little bit about interactions, and then we'll get to the exercise.
Sure.
So, we interact with the world around us, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly. We affect everything that goes on, and everything that goes on has an effect on us, knowingly or unknowingly. Mm-hmm. Okay?
This has been scientifically studied.
Yeah, this is scientifically studied, like, ad nauseum, but it's still being studied. Okay? We're not going to go that far into it, but just know that there's actual scientific basis for what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So we are affected by everything, and everything is affected by us. Okay? Yes. Now, when you look at the interactions that you have with people that you engage with, let's say that you have a friend that you get into very heated discussions with. Not necessarily arguments, but heated discussions. You guys get very passionate about what you're talking about, and sometimes your feelings can get a little amped up, right? And very often what will happen in those cases is that our feelings will get to a peak, and they'll be, get to like this real high peak, and then it just kind of tapers off and goes away, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what I want to do is I want to give you an exercise that you can actually start seeing how you respond to the engagements that you have with people. This is really important in quantum networking because the better you understand how you yourself interact with the world around you, and even how the world itself interacts with you, the better you understand that, or the more you understand that, the faster it'll be for you to appreciate the situations that you are in. Okay? Because we all have a tendency, or I used to, but we would always look at a situation as if we are not the architect of a situation that took place. Someone did something to piss us off, and so we're pissed, right?
Being the victim.
Yeah, we're the victim, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, this situation took place because that guy over there did this thing that I had nothing to do with, so it can't be my fault.
You may say, you made me angry, or
yeah,
you made me sad.
Angry, you pissed me off, you made me sad. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, what I want to do with this exercise is I want you to pay very close attention to when you feel something in a discussion. So, what I want you to do is reach out to a friend of yours, someone that you're really cool with, and I want you to just have a conversation. It can be about anything, doesn't matter. Okay? It can be about something that you have really strong feelings about, or something that you don't feel like you have any feelings about at all. It doesn't matter. Just have a conversation. And the moment that you feel something in that conversation, the moment that you do, pay very close attention to it. Okay? Don't write it off as, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. Don't do that. Pay very close attention to that feeling. Okay? You don't have to even identify what the feeling is. That's not important. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be like, oh, well, I don't understand what feeling this is. It doesn't matter. This is not about understanding anything. Okay? I heard it said once, and I actually really like it. It's that understanding is the booby prize, okay, of quantum anything. Trying to understand it is what's going to lead you down a rabbit hole.
And for your information, a booby prize is like a fake prize.
Yes,
it doesn't
like a booby trap. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
It's like a booby trap. But for you people out there with minds that deviate to other things, we'll leave that for you. So anyway, understanding in the quantum realm is the booby trap. You're not here to understand. Remember that. You're here to experience. Okay? Really pay attention to that feeling. All right? Now, you may continue the conversation as you're feeling that thing. And when your feeling changes, as often does when you're in a conversation with someone that evokes a feeling, pay attention to that too. Okay? What's going to happen when you do quantum networking is that things that you connect to or things that affect you in any way, you're going to start getting feelings about those things before they happen. Right? Before they happen. So as you do this particular this small exercise, just an introduction to the idea of quantum networking. Because quantum networking is about how you feel. Okay? So pay very close attention to what you feel in that conversation. Okay? There is no goal. Just pay attention. Okay? You may realize that you feel something that you've never felt before. That actually has happened to me. Okay? That's happened to me. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know I felt that.
Something woke up your cold heart?
Assuming I have one, But, yeah, it's like, you may go, whoa, I didn't even know I felt that. And sometimes those feelings could be split second to the point where we write them off like, oh, it's not a big deal. Right? But it's actually those feelings that you should be paying attention to that are basically begging you to pay attention to it and acknowledge it. It's feeling the existence of that feeling. And very often we write them off because it's not logical to pay attention to that. Oh, I'm in the middle of a conversation, so I can't listen. I can't pay attention to that feeling because I'm too busy arguing,
Or you distract yourself.
Yep, or you distract yourself.
If you're like me, you get up and you go find something to eat even though you're not hungry just because you feel something you don't really want to feel.
Right.
That's
and so you do
example.
everything you can do to avoid that feeling. So then what happens when you avoid that feeling? The next time that situation happens, it comes back even stronger to the point where that feeling becomes very prevalent and you start feeling it a lot. That's what happens traditionally, right? In a quantum way, what will happen is there is no difference between the intensity of the feelings that you have. There's no difference. You will just simply notice that they're there, appreciate the experience of having those feelings so you can then make more room for other feelings. Okay? And and those other feelings, those experiences that you're going to have, whether it's making tons of money or whatever the case is that you want to experience in your quantum networking model, whatever it is you want to experience, those feelings of appreciation will expand and you'll become more and more aware of every feeling that you have and the things that you wish to experience and the things that may just not be for you if that's the case. If that's the case.
You've said so many things that I want to touch on, so many good
Go
points.
ahead.
The first, since it was the most recent one, is the topic of expansion.
Yes.
The thing about most people, I'm just going to make this generalization because I've lived this myself.
So how about you?
The thing about me, and let me know if you can relate to this, is you may go through a very long, perhaps even your entire lifetime, a period of feeling like you have the same opportunities. Maybe they're different opportunities, but they feel like the same caliber or the same size. So you get to do a bunch of different stuff, but nothing ever really expands and grows to magnificent proportions like some people are able to achieve. That's quite common, I would think. The reason why it seems like you can't break out of the certain level of experience is because you have not expanded your capacity to feel greater, stronger, bigger feelings. Although there's no actual difference between $5 and $5 million, the feeling of appreciation associated with both isn't different, but it's also different at the same time.
No, it's different.
It's not even looking at me like, hold on. I was like, oh no.
It's different, but it's only different because of the classifications that are attached to it. In the quantum idea, there is no difference. There's absolutely no difference. So $5 and $5 million, there's no difference. But here's the thing. If you can't appreciate $5, how are you going to appreciate $5 million?
$5 million. So if you can't appreciate the opportunities you've gotten thus far in your life, how are you going to appreciate bigger, quote unquote bigger, that's a judgment, different opportunities? So this is what we're describing. This whole thing about feeling and being aware of how you feel, that is why it is important. The more aware you are of how you feel, the more awareness you can bring, that's redundant, the more appreciation you could bring, excuse me, and that all expands. That's the whole point of expansion. So if someone says, oh, you expand, or you're practicing expansion, that's what it means.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking about appreciation. I looked at you and you were like looking at me and I was like, ah. Anyway, the other point I wanted to make was I understand that becoming aware of your feelings can be really difficult for some people, especially, I guess, for men or people who are raised male in the patriarchy that exists, because you're not encouraged to really feel your feelings. So one thing you can do before you do the exercise where you call somebody is notice what it feels like to feel neutral. In your body, there are like, you may notice no sensations. It's just kind of, I'm just sitting here.
Yeah.
Once you know what it feels like to feel neutral, that's when you start to become more aware of when feelings come up. There's a difference between the two. Sometimes it's really easy to overlook your feelings because you don't have a baseline to work from. And feelings always come up in the body. If you're thinking about something, it's not the same thing as a feeling. I don't know if people make that mistake. I think I've definitely made that mistake. I almost said making that mistake, where you feel something, but you're focusing more on what you think about it.
Right.
So it becomes very difficult to appreciate your feelings because our thoughts tend to be so critical and so judgmental.
We tend to rationalize our feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. When in reality, your feelings are just the sensations in your body.
Yeah.
They have no meaning. There are no thoughts associated with them except for the ones you think are associated.
Right.
So the less you think, the more smoothly the process of feeling your feelings is. So try the phone exercise, give somebody a call, notice how you feel it from a neutral standpoint, and then notice when different sensations start to come up in your body. That is the foundation of getting into the feeling realm of the quantum networking experience.
Yep. Now, I want to take you on a little bit of a journey before we depart here. Now, let's say that you're getting accustomed to the idea of, okay, these feelings come up. Sometimes we just feel things and we don't even know why. They just happen.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It happens all the time. Right? And we don't necessarily go and say, this is exactly what we're going to feel when this situation happens or whatever. Sometimes we do that, but we don't always. Right? Very often we'll feel things before something happens and we don't have any idea why. Now, what I want you to think about is when you're doing this exercise, this we'll call the quantum emotional exercise. I don't know. I don't have another name.
The QE.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. The quantum emotional exercise. When you're doing that, I want you to consider just how far this could really take you. So let's say that you're having that conversation with your friend. You appreciate that conversation. You go, you know what? I appreciated that I got to have this conversation with them. Okay? And then that friend comes back, and then let's say you guys don't necessarily have arguments anymore because you appreciated that conversation. So you don't feel a need to create an argument, and you just enjoy the experience of talking to them, right? And so there's that. So now you appreciate that. Okay, I appreciate that we got to have this conversation. Boom. Now, let's say that you end up having the same type of dynamic with someone else. Well, that expands too, right? And so it goes from that one friend and expands to other people that you talk to. Oh, I appreciate having the ability to have this conversation with you. I appreciate the experience. Then it's like, all right, well, let's say that you end up meeting someone that is a multimillionaire, right? Just out of nowhere, right? Well, then you appreciate having that conversation with them. And then they introduce you to other people who would then, do you see how that just continues to scale? Appreciation is the language of expansion.
Yes.
Okay? Everything I just finished describing is an expansion off of just this one exercise. It can be difficult to see right now because you may be looking at it from a logical point of view. I don't understand how this works. This doesn't make any sense. This, that, and other. That's why we're inviting you to experience it for yourself. And that way you will prove to yourself that this is true. And there's one other thing I want to say about truth before we go. You never have to convince anyone of the truth. You never have to do that. Truth is always recognized. Okay? It's always recognizing. You always feel when something is true. You feel it. Okay? The lies are the things that you tend not just doing them blindly. For example, if you say that you have to work hard to make a bunch of money, that's a lie. That's not true. Okay? And most people don't feel anything towards saying that phrase, but they do it because logically to them it makes sense. Okay? Logically. See, logic forebodes emotion. Emotion has nothing to do with that. Right? But do you feel that statement is true? If I were to ask 9 people or 10 people, 9 out of 10 of them would tell me no. There's no way. I don't feel anything when I say that. Okay? Because it's not true. If you felt anything about what has been said to you here, use that as your guide. Mm-hmm. Okay? This isn't about logic or intellect. This is about how you feel. Okay? This is how you feel.
You don't have to get it.
You don't have to get it. Do you feel that it's true? And even if you don't and you're a complete skeptic, try it anyway. See what happens. See what happens. Just see what happens.
Be honest with yourself.
And be honest with yourself. When you had that conversation with your friend, did you really feel something?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe you felt love.
Yeah, maybe you felt something you didn't know was there.
Or maybe you realized for the first time that you don't really like talking to this person.
Yeah, you might realize that too. You never know. But that's why I invite you to do it so you can prove it to yourself. We don't have to prove it to you.
As soon as you start to notice how you really feel, you create room for things to shift and change in the direction that they are meant to shift for your incredible human experience that you are here to have.
Remember this. The whole goal of being, or the whole goal of living, is just to be alive. That's it. There is nothing else. You are alive. It is your responsibility, no one else's. It is your responsibility to take that opportunity that you have to be alive and make the most of that. It is no one else's. We can guide you, but it is not our responsibility to make sure that you are living the life that you want to live. Okay? The moment you take full responsibility for everything that happens in your life, and the moment that you start to appreciate the things that you have already, is the moment that your life changes.
The way I like to think of it is this. You either get to work really, really hard to make things happen in your experience. You work really hard to make the money to go on the vacation to have that experience. You work really hard to, live, survive, whatever. Or instead of that, you take responsibility for everything and then things just unfold for you without having to work hard. You get to choose. Which way would you rather live? The hard work way is the traditional way. The taking responsibility way is the quantum way. Make your choice. Or at least play around. See what happens. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah. After hearing all of this, you may be uncertain of a lot of things. I can tell you right now, the moment that I entered this space of thinking, there was a lot of confusion and even frustration.
Yes.
Okay, there was a lot of it. And this way of thinking is so different than the traditional way of thinking that there were days where I seriously questioned my ability to really understand the things that I'm experiencing. But now I've gotten to a point where the change is effortless. If I want to change something, I can just say, you know what? That's done. Change it. And it's changed, right? Because I appreciated the experience, but I'm done with it, right?
Yep.
I'm done. And you get to make that choice in the quantum game.
There's no need for things to proceed longer than they are meant, or than you allow them to proceed.
Yes,
really.
there's no need for that. There's no need. And I know that it can be hard to understand right now, but like I said, just do it for yourself. See what happens.
You got anything else?
Nope.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you've listened to the other 4 episodes, you're awesome, and we appreciate you very much. Tomorrow, the book comes out the 15th. We are super excited, and we will send you some more emails about that in case you're looking forward to snagging your audiobook copy and your digital copy as well. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.